Welcome to Ma'am Jessa's class. Samahan niyo ko muli na mag-aral ng math lesson in this video.
In this video, we will discuss solving radical equations. Our objectives in this video, at the end of the discussion, you should be able to define radical equation, identify radical equations, and solve radical equations. So what is radical equation? A radical equation is an equation containing radicals in which the variable appears in a radicand. So sa pag-radical equation, may makikita tayong radical symbol, square root, cube root, and sa loob nun, merong variable as a radicand. No? So variable, any letter will do. Here are examples of radical equations. Square root of x minus 8 is equal to 0. Square root of the binomial x plus 4 is equal to 3. Cube root of the binomial x plus 5 is equal to 2. 2 square root of x minus 7 is equal to 9. Square root of the binomial 4y minus 7 is equal to the square root of the binomial y plus 5. So, makikita nyo sa lahat ng radical equations dito, ang radicand, may variable as a radicand. Dito, ang radicand natin ay x. Dito, x plus 4. Dito, x plus 5. Dito, x ulit. So, lahat ng radical equation ay may variable as radicand. Here are steps in solving radical equations. 1. Isolate the radical expression involving the variable. 2. Raise both sides of the equation to the index of the radicand. So, kung ano yung index ng radicand, i-raise lang natin sila doon. Kung ang index, kung square root yung radical natin, ibig sabihin, ang index nun ay 2. So, i-raise natin sa 2. Kung ang radical natin ay cube root, ang index nun ay 3. So, ibig sabihin, i-raise natin yung equation sa 3. And then, kung ang radical natin ay fourth root, i-raise natin sa 4. So on and so forth, no? Kung ano yung index, doon mo siya i-raise. Number 3 is solve the resulting equation. And 4, check the answer in the original equation. So, example number 1. Solve square root of x minus 8 is equal to 0. So, step number 1, isolate the radical expression. So, ang radical expression natin dito ay yung square root of x. So, kailangan natin siyang ma-isolate. Mahiwalay natin dito si negative 8. Paano yon? We have to transpose negative 8. So, magkakaroon tayo ng square root of x is equal to 8. So, tinranspose natin si negative 8, naging positive. Step number 2, raise both sides of the equation to the index of the radicand. So, ang radical sign natin dito ay square root. So, therefore, ang index ay 2. Ngayon, dahil ang index ay 2, i-raise natin sila sa 2, both sides of the equation. So, magkakaroon tayo ng quantity square root of x squared is equal to 8 squared. Ngayon, ika-cancel natin to solve the resulting equation. So, paano yun? Ika-cancel natin yung, dahil naka-raise na sila sa 2 at ang index nito ay 2, maka-cancel out yan. So, therefore, magkakaroon tayo ng x. And then, eto, dito naman sa kabila 8 squared is 64. So, therefore, x is equal to 64. Ngayon, eto yung solution. Pero, sabi sa step, we have to check. No? So, ang pang-apat, isi-check natin yung solution na nakuha natin. So, check the answer or solution in the original equation. Ang original equation natin ay square root of x minus 8 is equal to 0. At ang obtained solution natin ay x is equal to 64. Ngayon, isa-substitute natin si 64 kay x. So, magkakaroon tayo ng square root of 64 minus 8 is equal to 0. So, ano yung square root ni 64? Ang square root ni 64 ay 8 minus 8 is equal to 0. And then, 8 minus 8 is 0. So, therefore, equal sila. So, ngayon, si 64 is solution ng radical equation na square root of x minus 8 is equal to 0. Equation number 2. Solve square root of the binomial x plus 4 is equal to 3. So, step number 1, since isolated na yung ating radical expression, ito square root of the binomial x plus 4, hindi na natin i-isolate. So, proceed tayo agad sa step number 2. So, ang ating index dito ay 2 since square root ang ating radical symbol. So, therefore, i-erase natin both sides of the equation sa 2. And then, step number 3, para ma-cancel out dahil naka-raise na to sa 2 at ang index ay 2, pwede na nating i-cancel out yung ating radical symbol. So, magkakaroon tayo ng x plus 4 is equal to 3 squared is 3 times 3. So, meron tayong 9. And then, transpose natin si 4. Magkakaroon tayo ng x is equal to 9 minus 4. Bakit minus 4? Tinranspose si positive 4, naging negative. 9 minus 4 is 5. So, therefore, x is equal to 5. Step number 4, we have to check our obtained solution sa ating original equation. Ang original equation natin ay square root of the binomial x plus 4 is equal to 3. Ang obtained solution natin ay x is equal to 5. So, isa-substitute natin si 5 kay x. Magkakaroon tayo ng square root of 5 plus 4 is equal to 3. Then, 5 plus 4 is 9. So, meron tayong square root of 9 is equal to 3. Square root of 9 is 3. So, therefore, meron tayong 3 is equal to 3. Therefore, si x is equal to 5 is solution of our radical equation. Square root of the binomial x plus 4 is equal to 3. Number 3. Solve 2 square root of x minus 7 is equal to 9. Step number 1, we have to transpose negative 7 sa right side of the equation para ma-isolate natin si radical expression. So, meron tayong 2 square root of x is equal to 9 plus 7. Simplify it further, magkakaroon tayo ng 9 plus 7 is 16. Then, divide both sides by 2. So, magkakaroon tayo ng square root of x is equal to 8. 16 divided by 2 is 8. Then, ang ating index dito ay 2 since square root ulit yan. So, i-erase natin both sides by 2. Then, cancel out si squared and yung ating radical symbol. So, magkakaroon tayo ng x. And then, 8 squared or 8 times 8 is 64. So, magkakaroon tayo ng x is equal to 64. Step number 4, our original equation is 2 square root of x minus 7 is equal to 9. Our obtained solution is x is equal to 64. Substitute natin si 64 kay x. So, magkakaroon tayo ng 2 square root of 64 minus 7 is equal to 9. Square root of 64 ay 8. So, si 8, imumultiply natin sa 2 na nandito, dito, no? So, ito yun. Kinapi ko. So, imumultiply natin to. Si 8 galing sa square root of 64. Then, minus 7. So, 2 times 8 is 16. Minus 7 is equal to 9. 16 minus 7 is 9. So, therefore, we have 9 is equal to 9. Ngayon, si 64 is solution ng ating radical equation na 2 square root of x minus 7 is equal to 9. Number 4, solve square root of the binomial 4y minus 7 is equal to the square root of the binomial y plus 5. So, ang step number 1, since isolated na ulit ang ating dalawang expression, no? So, hindi na natin i-isolate. Proceed na tayo sa step number 2. Ang ating equations ay naka-raise, no. Number 4, solve square root of the binomial 4y minus 7 is equal to the square root of the binomial y plus 5. So, step number 1 is isolated na sila pareho. So, hindi na natin gagawin. Proceed tayo sa step number 2. Since ang radical symbol ay square root, so therefore, ang index nila ay 2. Then, i-erase natin sila sa 2. Then, dito sa kabila, ika-cancel out natin si radical symbol. Since naka-squared na siya, so maka-cancel out na yan. Magkakaroon tayo ng 4y minus 7. Ganon din dito sa kabila. Ika-cancel out ang radical sign dahil naka-squared na. So, magkakaroon tayo ng y plus 5. Transpose natin si y dito sa left side of the equation para magsama sila ng 4y. So, 4y minus y. So, saan galing si negative y? Dito kay y. Tinranspose. Then, transpose naman natin si negative 7 sa right side. So, magkakaroon tayo ng 7 plus 5. So, saan galing yung 7? Dito sa negative 7. No? Tinranspose natin. Then, 4y minus y is 3y. Then, 7 plus 5 is 12. Since nagkaroon tayo ng 3y is equal to 12, simplify pa natin yan by dividing both sides by 3. So, 3y divided by 3 is y. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So, meron tayong y is equal to 4. Ngayon, number 4, step, ang original equation natin ay square root of the binomial 4y minus 7 is equal to the square root of the binomial y plus 5. Ang original equation ang ating obtained solution ay y is equal to 4. Substitute natin si 4 kay y. So, magkakaroon tayo ng square root of 4 times 4 minus 7 is equal to square root of 4 plus 5. 4 times 4 is 16. So, magkakaroon tayong square root of 16 minus 7 is equal to 4 plus 5 is 9. So, magkakaroon tayo ng square root of 9. 16 minus 7 is square root of 9. Square root of 9 is 3. Then, dito, square root of 9, of course, is 3. So, therefore, meron tayong 3 is equal to 3. Ngayon, si y is equal to 4 is solution ng radical equation na square root of the binomial 4y minus 7 is equal to the square root of the binomial y plus 5. Number 5. Solve cube root of the binomial x plus 5 is equal to 2. Step number 1. So, ang ating radical expression is already isolated. So, proceed tayo sa step number 2. Ang ating index dito ay 3 since cube root ang ating radical symbol. So therefore, i-erase natin sila both side by 3. Then, step number 3, cancel out natin si radical symbol at saka si cube, no? So, yung ni-raise natin na 3, ka-cancel out natin. So, magkakaroon tayo dito ng x plus 5. Dito naman, 2 cube means 2 times 2 times 2. So, 2 times 2, 4 times 2 is 8. So, therefore, meron tayong 8 dito. So, x plus 5 is equal to 8. Transpose natin si 5 sa right side of the equation. So, magkakaroon tayo ng x is equal to 8 minus 5. No? So, 8 minus 5 is 3. So, therefore, x is equal to 3. Step number 4, ang ating original equation ay cube root of the binomial x plus 5 is equal to 2. Ang ating obtained solution ay x is equal to 3. So, substitute natin si 3 kay x. So, magkakaroon tayo ng cube root of 3 plus 5 is equal to 2. 3 plus 5 is 8. So, meron tayong cube root of 8 is equal to 2. Cube root of 8 is 2. So, therefore, magkakaroon tayo ng 2 is equal to 2. Therefore, si x is equal to 3 is the solution of the radical equation cube root of the binomial x plus 5 is equal to 2. Number 6, solve square root of the binomial x plus 2 is equal to x. Step number 1 is already isolated na yung ating radical expression na square root of the binomial x plus 2. So, proceed tayo sa step number 2. Step number 2, ang ating index ay 2 since ang radical symbol ay square root. So, therefore, i-erase natin both sides by 2. Then, step number 3, cancel out natin si radical symbol at saka yung squared. So, therefore, magkakaroon tayo ng x plus 2 is equal to x squared is x squared. Then, transpose natin si x squared sa left side of the equation. So, magkakaroon tayo ng negative x squared plus x plus 2 is equal to 0. Since negative ang ating x squared dito, multiply natin by negative 1 both sides. No? Then, magkakaroon tayo ng negative 1 times negative x squared is x squared. Negative 1 times x is negative x. And negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. Then, is equal to 0. So, mapapansin nyo, nagkaroon tayo ng quadratic equation. Since quadratic equation ang obtained equation natin, we have to factor out x squared minus x minus 2 is equal to 0. So, since factorable siya. So, ang factors niyan, una, x squared. Ang factors ng x squared ay x times x. And then, para makumpleto natin yung factors natin dito, we have to think of two numbers na ang product ay negative 2 at ang sum ay negative 1. Since may imaginary negative 1 tayo dito. So, we have negative 2 and 1. So, negative 2 times 1 is negative 2 and negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. So, therefore, ang kukumpleto dito sa ating factors ay negative 2 and 1. So, ang naging factors natin dito sa x squared minus x minus 2 is equal to 0 ay quantity x minus 2 times quantity x plus 1 is equal to 0. Then, using the zero product property, paghihiwalayin natin to, no? O paghihiwalayin lang natin sila. So, magkakaroon tayo una, x minus 2 is equal to 0 and x plus 1 is equal to 0. So, transpose natin si negative 2 dito sa right side of the equation, magkakaroon tayo ng x is equal to 2. Bakit naging 2? Tinranspose si negative 2, naging positive. Dito naman sa kabila, transpose natin si positive 1, magkakaroon tayo ng x is equal to negative 1. So, mapapansin nyo, dalawa ang ating naging solutions. no? 2 and negative 1. So, sino sa kanilang dalawa yung pinaka-solution? Kaya kailangan nating gawin or mag-proceed tayo sa step number 4. Step number 4. So, ang ating original equation ay square root of the binomial x plus 2 is equal to x. Ang obtained solutions natin ay 2 and negative 1. So, sa substitute natin silang dalawa sa x, 1 by 1. No, unahin muna natin si x is equal to 2. So, substitute natin si 2 sa x, magkakaroon tayo ng square root of 2 plus 2 is equal to 2. Then, 2 plus 2 is 4. So, meron tayong square root of 4 is equal to 2. Square root ng 4 ay 2. So, therefore, meron tayong 2 is equal to 2. So, therefore, since nag-equal, check yun. So, equal sila. So, solution C, 2 ng radical equation na square root of the binomial x plus 2 is equal to x. How about negative 1? No, kapag x ay negative 1, so substitute din natin. Check natin, syempre, kung solution din ba siya. So, magkakaroon tayo ng square root of negative 1 plus 2 is equal to negative 1. Then, negative 1 plus 2 is 1. So, meron tayong square root of 1. So, square root of 1 is 1 is equal to negative 1. So, 1 is equal to negative 1? Of course, no. So, therefore, si 1 or si negative 1 is not solution. Pero, tinatawag siyang extraneous solution. Bakit siya extraneous solution? Ano ba yung extraneous solution? Extraneous solution is a solution derived from the original equation that does not satisfy the original equation. So, since hindi nag-satisfy si negative 1 sa ating original equation, extraneous solution ang tawag sa kanya. And therefore, ang pinaka-solution natin dito kay square root of the binomial x plus 2 is equal to x is si x is equal to 2. So, ito ang ating solution. Kaya importante na i-check natin yung ating naging solution sa original equation kasi possible na magkaroon tayo ng extraneous solution. And that's all, students. I hope that you've learned something for this video.